Hi, I'm going to make a coffee in this video and offer some commentary along the way. Here's my coffee mug. It holds 10 American ounces or 280 ml. And here's my weapon, which is a Melita coffee funnel. These cost $10 Canadian. I actually have 5 of them. So if I have company and I need to make multiple cups of coffee, I just do this times however many people I want to serve. So the first step is to boil some water. This is a 3,000 watt kettle. I'm sure that a coffee file would say that I should be using a gooseneck kettle, but this is 2.5 times faster than a gooseneck kettle. I got this one in Ireland. In North America, you're going to have trouble going over 1,500 watts, but that's more already than the gooseneck kettle is likely to be. So we have the funnel. I use ordinary coffee basket filters. I do not use the special papered filters. And I use a blade grinder and whole bean coffee. So this is decaf coffee because I've had a couple of cups of caffeinated already today. I always use whole bean coffee. A couple of rounded scoops. You can adjust that to taste, but this is what I like for this particular coffee. I find whole bean coffee decaf is harder to find, so I tend to use designer decaf and store brand Arabica ordinary caffeinated coffee. So my water's boiled. I warm up the cup a bit by putting some water in it while I'm grinding the coffee. Cover it to minimize heat escape and grind the coffee. Grind the coffee for 6 or 7 seconds. This is a Krups coffee grinder. It's my favorite blade grinder. It's more powerful than some of the competitors, and it's oval shaped, which I think grinds up the beans better. So I just squish the filter paper into the funnel, dump out the warm, zero the scale, and wet the coffee a bit. When I first started making coffee, about 50 years ago in the 70s, I had the Melita instructions. They said, wet the coffee, wait for 20 seconds, and then pour what you need. They also said, use extra fine grind coffee, and they marketed extra fine grind coffee, at least at the time. And that's how I started out. I haven't changed much. I do use a scale now. Sometimes it's optional, but it just helps me not have to guess about when things are full. Of the funnels I have, 3 of them are older that don't have a window in them. So, you know, those you have to guess even more or lift them up to figure out when you're almost done. So now I wet the coffee. At some point, a coffee file started to call this blooming the coffee. I never heard the term until this century. But what I do is I pour in several rinses, usually 4. I make sure I pour quite vigorously so the coffee gets stirred up and the water passes over all of the coffee several times, generally 4. I don't time this, but I have found that, you know, fine grind works. 6 or 7 seconds on the Krups works fine. The coarsest grounds are maybe slightly bigger than fine, and most of it is a powder. So I'll fill this up and make sure it gets nicely agitated. I'm about 3/4 done pouring. And now I have to wait a bit. So I guess because I make so much coffee every day, it's important to me not to wait a huge amount of time for the kettle to boil. That's why I have the fast one. Or to spend a lot of time transferring stuff between utensils or cleaning up. I didn't clean up here, I should have. I made a little bit of mess when I dumped the coffee, but nothing that can't be handled with a simple sponge. Time for my fourth load of coffee. I'm going to fill this up to 250 grams total and wait for it. Now sometimes, because I use a blade grinder, this gets a little slow. If it gets too slow, sometimes lifting up a corner of the filter will speed it along. Maybe some coffee mud got packed there. It's also very important to me to drink my coffee hot. For this reason, I always heat the cup. You note I did not heat the funnel and the filter. The plastic funnel doesn't have a very high heat mass, and neither does the basket filter. The cone-shaped filters have more, and they cost a lot more, and basically I just found I like these better, and I also have some objection to paying a nickel each for things that aren't worth more than 1 cent. So I'll just let this drip for a couple more minutes. I have never timed this. If you look at other pour over coffee instructions on the web, you will find that they indicate time and extraction are important things. I assume that because I use very fine grind and several rinses that I'm getting reasonably high extraction, and that's what I like. I've tried coarser grinds. I find it yields watery coffee. If you use more coffee, it doesn't particularly improve the flavor. So now my coffee's done, and it's perfect.